Hello and a warm welcome to Federal Special Program Capital Beat. In the Uddhav Thackeray versus Eknath Shinde battle, which we have seen over the last 1 year, Supreme Court today in a landmark judgment basically said that the Maharashtra governor and the Assembly Speaker did not act in accordance with the law. This was a 5-judge bench which actually said that the governor called a floor test, which was illegal, and he got into the intra-party and the inter-party disputes, which he should not have. About the role of the speaker, he also said that the speaker tried to appoint the whip from the Eknath Shinde camp, and that was also illegal. And the whip has to be appointed by the political party, not the legislature party. These were in clear terms what the Supreme Court said. Now coming to Uddhav Thackeray. Supreme Court very clearly said that Uddhav Thackeray cannot be reinstated because he did not face the floor test. So it's a little setback for Uddhav Thackeray, but at the same time, this verdict exposes the processes of the BJP government, processes which were unconstitutional, processes which were illegal. How will this verdict pan out now in the coming days, because we have assembly elections, and of course, how it will impact the Maharashtra politics when it comes to Maharashtra Vikas Aghadi versus BJP over there. There are already reports of MLAs apparently from the Eknath Shinde camp going and meeting Uddhav or the emissaries of Uddhav. We cannot confirm that, but there have been unconfirmed reports about that. And of course, there are also reports that Eknath Shinde is not sitting on a very comfortable position right now. So is BJP going to be preying on parties like Congress, like NCP? It's going to be interesting days ahead in Maharashtra. So we'll discuss today's verdict and raise the question as to how this verdict will impact the general national politics. And is it a wrap on the knuckles of the Modi government as well? I'm joined by Vivek Deshpande, veteran journalist, joining us from Nagpur. Thank you so much, Vivek. He's been following the Maharashtra politics very, very closely. Thank you so much. Vipin Menon, political commentator, joins us from Mumbai. Thank you so much. And our editor, senior editor, Puneet Nicholas Yadav, joins us from Delhi. Thank you so much, Puneet, for joining. And I'll start with Vivek today. Vivek, how do you really... I'm sorry. Sanjay Jog, the veteran journalist, also joins us. I'm sorry, Sanjay, because you were not there in the main screen, so I just completely forgot to look at you. Thank you so much, Sanjay, for joining. Sanjay Jog also joins us from Maharashtra. He's one of the very renowned journalists from Mumbai. Thank you so much for joining, Sanjay. And I'd like to begin with Vivek, and I'll come to Sanjay. Vivek, how do you really see the verdict? Would you really see it as an aggressive rap on the knuckles of the Modi government?
Yeah, Nilu, I think it certainly is one. And the manner in which Supreme Court has clearly stated, without mincing any words, as to how all those processes were illegally carried out, it should really send a very strong message to not just BJP or any other party, which indulges in this kind of machinations when it comes to unsettling an established government. Now, there are two parts of this story. Like, one story is the judicial story, and the other is the political story. So the judicial story is very clear, as you stated. Both appointment of the whip as well as the governor's intervention in the whole process was termed very completely illegal by the Supreme Court, and that shows how BJP not only resorts to all kinds of political immorality as well as constitutional immorality as well. So now the political story that will pan out is very important. What happens now is the Fadnavis government feels that it has got a breather. Now it will use all its propaganda machinery to tell the world, to tell the electorate that how its government is actually very legal and has been legally established, and how the Supreme Court has vetted that. I mean, they will go to the town with this story now and try to exact some kind of advantage or political advantage out of it. But on the other side, the BJP was actually, wishing that the Supreme Court ends up disqualifying Eknath Shinde and the other 15 persons that initially came to BJP camp, with the hope that the burden that they have to carry of Eknath Shinde and his people will automatically be removed with the Supreme Court judgment. But now they have to carry this burden. They wanted to get Ajit Pawar and a part of the NCP with them, and they were wishing that Eknath Shinde and his camp and his people would be disqualified. So now they have to carry on with Eknath Shinde, who is not supposed to do any world of good to the BJP's political fortunes in Maharashtra, as is very clear from the various surveys that have been purportedly carried out by BJP itself and other people, which say that the BJP is on a very sticky wicket as far as Maharashtra is concerned. And 2024 is a very, very crucial and critical election for BJP. Apart from Bihar and Bengal, Maharashtra becomes a very, very important state for BJP. And if it is going to be on a sticky wicket in Maharashtra in 2024, and in run up to that, if this verdict has come as a blow to it, then it certainly faces a very, very tough challenge. That is the reason precisely why they are not taking BMC elections as well as elections to other municipal corporations, including the Nagpur Municipal Corporation. So they are in a quandary now as to what to do and how to strengthen their political position. That is the problem with the BJP, although they might have had some sense of a Pyrrhic victory here, but they know that their political road ahead to 2024 is very difficult.
Right. Okay. Sanjay Jog, I'll come to you now. Many people, after reading the verdict and who had been waiting for something drastic to happen out of this judgment, actually are saying that this judgment is a little funny because it says everything and does nothing. Now, I was reading, it was like a WhatsApp forward by one of the lawyers who actually said that Article 142 in the Constitution of India gives the powers to the Supreme Court that, when there is a sticky matter like this, they could have taken a stand which would have been more concrete, in the sense that if, without mincing words, they are saying that the governor was wrong, the speaker was wrong, then what prevented them from actually reinstating Uddhav Thackeray? Now, what is your take on this? Sanjay, you're not audible. Sanjay, you're not audible right now.
Yeah, is it okay now?
Yeah, now.
Yeah,
yes.
No, as you rightly said, I have been also speaking to a couple of lawyers, both in Mumbai as well as in Delhi. 2-3 interesting observations. What they are saying is that there is a legal as well as a moral issue that has been now purportedly projected by Shinde Fadnavis. As you rightly said, the government has survived. That's fine. But look at it. The Supreme Court clearly says that the governor and the speaker have erred. They have given whatever the judgments and the ruling illegally. That paved way, for Shinde swearing in. Also, Fadnavis taking the advantage of, again, going ahead with much gaga that Uddhav has already lost the majority. So also Shinde also said about that. And according to the government was formed. But what had stopped Supreme Court from taking a concrete action against the speaker's movement? Action as well as the governor. This is really, very strange. Second very interesting observation. If at all governor has gone ahead illegally, which he should not have, then what would be the scenario the Supreme Court have painted? The Supreme Court clearly says that the petition by Uddhav Thackeray team was that he should be reinstated, which they said they cannot do it because he did not face the trust vote. As a lot of the internal Shiv Sainiks are saying actually it would have been a Bajpayee moment for Uddhav, but which he did not. So he is saying that he has done it in the larger interest of the people, and even though legally it may be wrong, but from the moral point of view, I am perfectly right. But here the question comes: why Supreme Court did not give any kind of a concrete judgment? Or making, even though there are those 15, 17 conclusions, nobody would have stopped it, the provision that you talked about the speaker section as well as governor. One more thing which needs to be debated. It's very interesting. One of the judges, the argument was that even though this clutch of these 8 petitions are being heard for adjudication, the Election Commission has already given its ruling. I'm giving the bow and arrow as well as the name Shiv Sena to Eknath Shinde. But look at it now. In the same judgment, today's judgment, he says, I mean, the Constitution very clearly says that the Speaker will decide about the legislative party as well as the political party. I think this is quite strange. After covering the legislature for now almost over 3 decades, which Vivek has been also doing, I mean, this is really not understandable, because Speaker is only restricted to the legislative businesses, nothing to do with the political party issues. So how can the Supreme Court give this kind of a judgment? I mean, this is quite strange, because, and the second thing, if the Supreme Court says that the appointment of Bharat Gogaule, who is a close confidant of Eknath Shinde, who comes from Raigad district, has been appointed as a whip, is illegal. But look at it, the entire context changes now. If the Election Commission has already settled the matter with regard to whose Shiv Sena is it and who is having the bow and arrow. In that scenario, if the political party boss, what he claimed as a chief neta, that is Eknath Shinde, if he has appointed Mr. Gogaule as a sweep, then what is the fate? Then what will Sunil Prabhu, who has been appointed as Mr. Uddhav Thackeray said by me, that by him, then what Mr. Speaker will do? Either Speaker will go with what the Election Commission has already settled the issue. So that's a major issue that is going to be come up now in the days to come. Secondly, very interestingly, the Speaker the judgment clearly says that as far as the 16, the disqualification of those 16, including Eknath Shinde, is concerned, it should be done in a reasonable time. So who will decide about the reasonable time? But again, Nilu, I don't know whether you are aware, I am following it. The disqualification is not restricted to 16. I have got the notices served to another 23 also. So what will happen to 39? That's a major issue. That needs to be debated. Supreme Court simply bypasses that and simply hands it over to the Speaker. I think that is definitely going to be another issue that will be taken up both legally as well as politically in Maharashtra. And one more, just a political comment.
So Sanjay, are you saying that this? No, Sanjay, just allow me to.
Uddhav has been saying.
Sanjay, allow me to interrupt you. Are you saying that this aspect can be challenged legally again after the Supreme Court verdict? Are you saying that?
And I think Anil Parab made a mention of this, who was present in the Supreme Court, who is a legislator from Uddhav Thackeray, as well as the former parliamentary affairs minister in Maharashtra. What he said is that let us go through with the judgment. We will definitely speak to our lawyers and how to take it forward. But at the same time, he said and he underlined, we now expect and we will give all the necessary facts which have been already discussed and compiled by us before the Speaker, so that Speaker will go by all those facts and just come out with a judgment. But the Nilu is a very interesting thing. On the one hand, the disqualification proceedings initially initiated, the notices served by the Deputy Speaker. Immediately after the next day, it was challenged in the Supreme Court on the pretext that the no confidence motion has been moved against Mr. Narahari Jilwal, who happens to be the Deputy Speaker. That's fine. But what happens to those 23 notices? The Supreme Court has definitely taken up the issue, which was debated, which was argued by Mr. Manu Sanghvi as well as Kapil Sibal during their argument. So I think that issue is definitely going to come up in the days to come. And one more observation, as Uddhav has said, Mr. Thackeray, Devendra Fadnavis and Eknath Shinde have ridiculed Uddhav that he has lost, the issue of moral and morality when he joined hands with basically NCP and Congress, bypassing what they claim Barasaheb Thackeray's thoughts and whatnot. That's fine. But in that scenario, is the moral ground that is fittest for Mr. Fadnavis to argue that? Just recall those 80 hours of that early morning swearing in. Didn't it immoral on his part? When Mr. Ajit Pawar came back to NCP, I think that is, that is also going to be debated and discussed in the days to come.
Okay, Vivek wanted to make a point before I go to Puneet. Yes, Vivek, you wanted to say something?
Nilu, one very interesting fact of this story is that this Deputy Speaker, Narahari Zirwal, who had actually issued the disqualification notices, still continues to be the Deputy Speaker. And this government, which had given, I mean, the people from this government who had given this no confidence motion against the Deputy Speaker, they continue to have him as the Deputy Speaker, and he belongs to the NCP. So, what prevents them from getting him out of that position? And interestingly, this Mr. Jirwal was one of those people who had gone with Ajit Pawar when that 3-day government with Devendra Fadnavis was formed. So he was one of those people who had gone along with Ajit Pawar. So, it's very mysterious as to why those very people who had sent him a notice, now they are continuing with him as the Deputy Speaker. So that is a very interesting point. That was because perhaps they wanted to get a slice of NCP at some vantage point down the line, so that they could survive in case Shinde and his men were to be disqualified. That's the point. That's a very interesting point of this whole story. Yeah.
No, it is. It is. But this whole role of the speaker, I'm really unable to understand the way the verdict has spelled out. Puneet, and I would like you to elaborate a bit on that. That the Nabam Rabia case has been referred to the 7-judge bench, where it talks about the powers of the speaker. Now, the disqualification has to be decided by the speaker, whereas the verdict says that the call which the speaker took on appointing the whip is wrong. So which means that the speaker has been illegal, he has been improper. And again, the disqualification thing has been passed on to him. Now, how does this pan out from here? I mean, the whole thing about the constitutional morality of the speaker, though the opposition itself has started demanding the resignation of the speaker, but what does the verdict clearly say? Does it really clearly spell out anything on the verdict, on the speaker, as to how he's going to conduct himself as far as the disqualification is concerned?
Yeah, are you asking me?
No, Puneet, yeah.
Neelu, I think there are various levels at which one needs to look at, various perspectives through which one needs to look at this verdict from. I'll come to the point of the speaker in a moment. There are a few basic elements among the conclusions that the 5 judges have reached, each of which have their own separate implications politically and legally. So I'll quickly do a wrap up of those points, although, I mean, they've been touched upon by the earlier speakers. See, there is a very extensive finding by the 5 judges on the role of the governor, which is extremely important. And if I can quickly recap the judgment, and although it's a lengthy 140-page judgment, but in essence, what it says is that the Constitution and the laws do not empower the governor to enter the political arena for resolving disputes of a political party. And the governor has made an error by relying upon a resolution that has been passed by a faction of MLAs, not by a political party, but by a faction of MLAs. And also that the governor had absolutely no objective material before himself when he ordered the floor test, or when he said, which indicated to him that the Uddhav Thackeray government, the MVA government, had lost the confidence of the House. And so, essentially, whatever the governor has done has been termed as illegal, unconstitutional. Now let's come to the chief whip. Here again, the order says that the whip is to be recognized from the political party, not from the legislative party of a political party. So there's a clear difference that the court has outlined, that a political party that exists on a given day. So this is, I'm talking about prior to recognizing the split, the political party issues a whip, and that is a whip that all its MLAs have to follow. The whip cannot be issued by X MLA or Y MLA on the ground that he represents a certain faction of the legislative party of a political party.
Right.
Right? So that's the second thing. And based on that, again, you reach a conclusion that the disqualification or the entire process that flowed from the floor test onward to the disqualification petitions to the resignation of Uddhav Thackeray, etc., that entire chain of events over those 3 days in June and July of last year was not founded on any legal basis. And finally, then the judgment comes on the role of the speaker, where it merely says that the speaker did not have the power to order a floor test given these set of circumstances.
Right.
So there again, there is an illegality that has been established. So, which is why the ultimate conclusion of the judgment sounds very funny to a lot of us, that A, B, C, D, E that have preceded F are all illegal, but the ultimate decision of the chief minister to resign has absolutely, so it's basically a consequence of illegal actions, but it is irreversible because he did it before the floor test was ordered, where the Supreme Court says that the floor test itself was illegal. So for not participating in an illegal activity, the chief minister is being penalized. Essentially, that is what the judgment
really funny.
Us. The judgment looks to us, and that is why we are a little confounded on what kind of a conclusion is this. But let me play the devil's advocate here for a minute. See, there are two important aspects which are related to what you asked. The role of the speaker now, not back then, but the role of the speaker now, where the Supreme Court has very clearly said that the speaker has to decide the disqualification petitions pending before him within a reasonable time. Now, we can argue that the court has not established what reasonable time means. What is reasonable time for you may be different from what is reasonable time for me. But the court has simply said within a reasonable period of time, you have to decide the disqualification petitions. Now, if I have to go by the logic laid by the court, and if I have to defend what the judgment has said, what I would say is maybe a little bit of wishful thinking, but the court is essentially saying that we have rendered the entire chain of events that preceded the formation of the Shinde government to be illegal. The entire, they have even said that the split cannot be recognized. There is a very clear paragraph in the conclusions where the court says that the split will not be recognized. I'll quickly, if you allow me, I'll read out that para. Please. The effect of the deletion of paragraph 3 of the 10th schedule is that the defense of split is no longer available to members facing disqualification proceedings. The speaker would prima facie determine who the political party is for the purpose of adjudicating disqualification petitions under paragraph 2(1) of the 10th schedule, where 2 or more factions claim to be the political party. So, basically, what the court is saying is, we have now told you all of this that happened was illegal. Now you decide whether to disqualify or not to disqualify. I was speaking to Mr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi just minutes before joining this discussion, and he mentioned to me, because he was also the lawyer, one of the lawyers appearing for the petitioners here. He said that we would wait for what we think is a reasonable amount of time.
Okay.
And if within that reasonable amount of time, a decision is not taken by the speaker, then we will move the Supreme Court again.
Okay.
on this specific aspect. So
Right.
essentially what this means is that the speaker now has, in a sense, his hands tied. Because when the split has been held to be illegal by the court, when the governor's order of the floor test has been held to be illegal, when the whip has been held to be illegal, then on what basis do you uphold the membership of these
Right.
MLAs
Right.
and deny disqualification? So it may appear like a roundabout way of the Supreme Court, in the judgment, but in a sense, the Supreme Court has basically laid the groundwork for the disqualification, but maybe in its own better sense, better judgment, left it to the wisdom of the speaker, and in the hope that he will follow the constitutional norms and the precedent set by the judgment, and
Right.
rule
But
accordingly.
Right. You said that in the hope that the speaker would act. Now, Vipin, I'm going to
Absolutely.
come to you. Vipin, I'm going to come to you. You unmute yourself. But the whole point is that, we are questioning the constitutional morality. Now, is the speaker going to follow a constitutional morality, a protocol, and probably do something which would be justified? But given the fact that the manner in which the press conference was held by Devendra Fadnavis and Eknath Shinde, they were very brazen and brash. We didn't see that, they had any regrets about anything. Rather, they said that, no, this is a legally formed government. Shinde will not resign. Priyanka Chaturvedi, immediately after the verdict, she had said that, on the moral grounds, Shinde should resign. So what would you really say to the attitude of the Shinde government?
Thanks, Nilu. Thanks for having me on this discussion. I would like to dissect this complete judgment of Supreme Court in a legal manner. I'll not go. I'll separately discuss on the political events which are followed. But while all our speakers were discussing the rights and wrongs which happened in the course of events, my point of discussion here is that before going to the Supreme Court, two major decisions of Uddhav Thackeray government has led to fall of this government, later on which we today saw the entire judgment. Now, what were those two events? We cannot miss those because I believe most of the speakers here have followed all those events. First, that the Maharashtra Assembly Speaker was Mr. Nana Patole, and his resignation, not only his resignation, the not appointing a speaker in his place has led the fall of this government, because then you rely entirely on the deputy speaker or whoever is on the chair, and becoming a part-time speaker is definitely not going to be beneficiary for any government, irrespective whether it is NDA or UPA or regional party government. You definitely should have a full-time speaker. That is one mistake which led to the fall of this government. Maybe at that time, Uddhav Thackeray government has, felt that maybe, there might not be unity within the government, and they just kept, holding that decision. One. Second decision was definitely Uddhav Thackeray, fearing that he may not have numbers, he resigned. And then covering up that, morally I resigned, because we all followed in those. I was part of in one of those discussions when Uddhav Thackeray resigned, and you called me. I told you that, see, Uddhav Thackeray clearly doesn't have numbers and he will resign. And exactly that happened. So I followed this political aspect. Now, going into the legal aspect of this judgment, when Supreme Court said that governor is wrong, the choice of words is very interesting. In the judgment, there is it is not written that whatever governor did is illegal. What is written is that it cannot be justified. Now, something observably, it is said that, okay, whatever governor is done is not justified, cannot be said that it is illegal. It has to be written in the judgment that it is illegal, because in the second stanza, it is clearly said that calling of the floor test was, because, why Supreme Court has said that, because this 39 MLAs who left Uddhav Thackeray did not go to the governor and say that we withdraw from the government. That technical point was followed in the judgment, that he does not have the material. Just because some independent MLA say that, okay, we withdraw support, does not have a material on with the governor to say that, okay, the government loses the number. However, governor, of course, did not follow the fact that, on paper, whether there is any material to show that the government is short of numbers. By ordering the floaters, Uddhav Thackeray could have challenged it. In his resignation also, he could have just said that I am forced to resign due to this illegal decision of this governor. Because in the judgment also, while observing, Chandrachud has clearly mentioned that if Uddhav Thackeray had not resigned, we could have done the status quo ante, which is not possible here. So there's one thing is that constitutionally, Supreme Court cannot enter into certain areas, and it has not done it. Within the framework of that, they have done it. And, when a judgment comes, it is natural that one party is happy and one party is not happy. This judgment is definitely on the expected lines. Two mistakes, which was definitely from the Eknath Shinde side and Fadnavis side, was highlighted. That is Speaker's decision to recognize a whip. Now, in that scenario, when the Speaker decided to recognize, there was no Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray, there was no Eknath Shinde. It was only one political party which belonged to Uddhav Thackeray, and a split happened. Now, what Supreme Court has communicated here is that Speaker knew that a split had happened, and then he, in spite of that, instead of recognizing the split, that is as per 10th schedule, he went on to appoint a whip. That is where the observation in the order has come. So what is the political implications? We have to discuss that, which is in the order. Now, assuming, so in this order, Supreme Court has used a language where the assumptions can be made both ways. That is the reason Fadnavis, being a lawyer himself, was very brazen, brazen, and it is very natural. When you, when one political party completely was going, hammer on saying that, this is illegal government. Now, when you say that governor was right to call Eknath Shinde to take the oath, then the Supreme Court has legitimated the decision of the government there. We did not discuss that. So legally, whether that is right, whether that is wrong, can be debated. But the language used by the Supreme Court has to be very clear. Now, here it is not clear. It is said that cannot be justified. It
Puneet,
doesn't say illegal.
Say something. Puneet, you nodded your head, so I believe you wanted to make a point.
I just wanted to make a quick clarification. I think Vipin has read the conclusions very clearly, but he hasn't read what has preceded the conclusions.
Right.
Correct.
In fact, yeah.
Because there, from page number 128 to page number 134 of the judgment, where the court is looking at directly the role of the governor. It has said very specifically that the governor erred in taking these decisions. The governor made a mistake in doing this, etc., etc.
Yes.
Very specific observations have been made. I think what Mr. Menon is relying on are only the gist of the conclusions, which we call the operative part of the judgment, but not the substantive part of the judgment.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Vipin, just hang on there.
One point here.
Vipin, allow me to interrupt because we are running short of time. We just have about 8 minutes, but I want to come to the political aspect as well. Technical side, Puneet, Vivek and Sanjay ji, they have explained it too well. Now, I want to come to the political part of it. Sanjay, I'll come to you first. Now, what are the political ramifications? The verdict, in a way, has paved a path for the Shinde government as well, and also for Uddhav Thackeray, that they can go to towns, play their emotions politically for 2024 and how the politics is going to unfold in the coming months. Does it not do that? How is it going to pan out politically? Yes. And if your comment, I'll be able to go to everyone then. Yes. Yes, sir.
Let me talk to in brief. Shinde and Fadnavis, in fact, BJP and Shiv Sena will do. They will definitely go to the town saying that our government is legal and constitutional. So we are definitely free to achieve that mission 45 and mission 200 plus. One thing. Secondly, as far as Shinde is concerned, he is being looked as a lame duck chief minister right now. I mean, even though he has got the 39 MLAs with him, He has no grip in the party, neither on the government. Administration is simply lackluster. So he may attempt to tighten his grip both in the organization as well as at the government level. Now we'll come to Mr. Fadnavis. As Fadnavis is a very shrewd politician, even though he is being looked at as if he has been given a kind of a task of simply pulling on and threatening to shift to Delhi, he will definitely use this opportunity to again pull up his weight, to see that his grip is again being tightened within the BJP, as well as he will also try to play with Shinde as far as the government functioning is concerned. So both ways, that way, as far as the Shinde is concerned, this is an opportunity to further spread his wings, while Fadnavis, it is definitely an quote-unquote golden opportunity for him, even though he's been looked at as a sidetrack guy, to go on to the town saying that, boss, now I am there to see that the government is now stable. Now it comes to just the last word about the MVA. There is a discussion which is already going on that Uddhav may play a victim card. Why should not? Within the section of the BJP and Shiv Sena, that is Eknath Shinde led, they are in fact still feared about Uddhav getting support, sympathy, and playing the victim card. And that's why, as Vivek also said, they are unable to announce the elections. What has stopped them to go in for the BMC and other 15 municipal corporations and a couple of 25 Jilla Parishads, 249 municipal councils? So that this is definitely going to be there. But one more interesting thing, Sharad Pawar said, okay, that has been talked about, he did not, in his book said he did not consult about resignation. But today, after his meeting with Nitish Kumar, he said, bygones are bygones. Because we have decided that the three parties in Mahavikas Aghadi will definitely work together. In fact, this court judgment has come as a helping hand to further target and checkmate this, loose combination of Shinde and Fadnavis. I think this is the sum and substance how the political behavior.
Right. From what you're saying, it brings more cohesion in the opposition camp, of course, after this verdict. But what about BJP, Vivek, if I may ask you? Does BJP really look on a very, very sticky wicket with the reports that, the Shinde MLAs are trying to go back, perhaps, to the Uddhav Thackeray camp? Now, whether Uddhav takes them back or not is a matter of speculation right now. But where do you see things positioning for BJP? Is it really going to be a tough way for it?
Yeah, Neelu, in my initial narration itself, I said that, BJP was on a very sticky wicket because Eknath Shinde, this government led by Eknath Shinde, has not earned quite a reputation for itself. In fact, it's being considered as one of the worst governments that Maharashtra has seen. Now, having survived the Supreme Court, the case in Supreme Court, and having survived as a government, what the BJP is going to do to spruce up its image as a government, I don't know. I mean, they have nothing to do. And there has been no claim to fame of this government. They have not done anything substantial in the last about 1 year. So what are they going to do in the remaining part of the tenure? I'm not sure. And with Mr. Eknath Shinde as the chief minister, the future certainly looks very, very dull for the BJP, if not bleak. So, BJP needs to do some kind of a course correction, political course correction somewhere down the line. What happens after the speaker takes any decision, if and when he takes, like he has to take it, because the Maharashtra Assembly is still going to be there till the end of next year. So at some point of time, the speaker has to take the decision. He cannot put it off to a date where, it will be close to the assembly elections.
Right. You mentioned the word course correction, that BJP will have to do some course correction. Now, Puneet, if I may ask you, what is that course correction which BJP might do? Will it now look for new partners, or if I may just put it very bluntly, will it shop around for new MLAs, maybe from NCP or from Congress? Is that the course correction will BJP look at, or is it something going to be a new kind of a churning within them that look constitutionally we are looking very immoral, or something like that? Is that some kind of an awakening within BJP? I'm not able to really understand. Yes.
I think the latter part of your question was meant more as a joke.
Yes.
About the Congress, about the BJP suddenly realizing how immoral its activities have been.
Yeah.
I don't think that realization is going to set in just yet. But the earlier part of what you said, I don't think there's anything stopping the BJP or discouraging it from trying any of the other options that it has exercised with, amazing amount of brazenness in the past. We're just 2 days ahead of the Karnataka election results. Let's see what happens there. But the point is, if you're looking at a course correction, as Vivek was pointing out, I really do not see in the Maharashtra context what is the course correction that the current alliance of the BJP and Eknath Shinde's faction can effect, because they have very little going for them. And barring, say, this kind of grandstanding of how great Mr. Narendra Modi is for the country, or this, the familiar Hindutva card and Marathi Manus and all of that, I really don't see what kind of policy, administrative governance course correction they can actually look at. But then I believe there's also a course correction that's equally important for the MVA, for the opposition. I mean, how do they now go from here is as important as where the BJP and Shinde go from here.
Right.
Because for the NCP, we've seen them come out of a sort of a crisis just a week back. How do they proceed further? What exactly is it that Mr. Sharad Pawar has in mind for his party, for things going on within his party, right, and his own role vis-a-vis the other alliance partners? Similarly, on issues of big brother attitude, this, that, and the other, what is the way forward that the Congress foresees for itself within this alliance? You have different leaders of the Congress passing different kinds of comments. Some comments that the Shiv Sena will take offense to, and then the Congress will say that, oh, okay, fine, ceasefire, now we're not going to do this again. So this should actually be a turning point for the opposition, for these three parties, to also realize that, okay, now the court has given us something, maybe not what we had hoped for, but it has given us a ground to go to the public and say that, look, we have been wronged, and these people who are sitting in power are sitting in power using illegal means, and the court has said so. And look at what they've done in terms of the governance of the state.
Yes. So it's a turning point.
It is both ways.
I'm cutting you short because running really short of time. Puneet, but what you said, that it's a turning point for the opposition. But for BJP, Vipin, very briefly, few seconds to you. What does BJP do from here on? Very briefly.
I see that.
Are we going to expect more brazenness from them? More brashness?
Yes, it is going to be more brazenness, but I don't see here as of now. It is more than BJP. Eknath Shinde would be more brazen here. I will see Eknath Shinde.
But Eknath Shinde would be brazen, or he's going to be more.
Yes, he will be. I see Eknath Shinde going on. No, I see from here Eknath Shinde going against the Shiv Sena Uddhav Thackeray organization, and he will completely, try to capture the remaining part of it. Even if it is getting more MLAs from whoever is remaining in the Uddhav Thackeray camp. As far as BJP is concerned, BJP, what Nilu, the real headache is not going to be the statements made by the leaders. The real headache for all the parties in both the camps is going to the seat sharing. And while Sharad Pawar himself hinted, we don't know what is the future of MVA in 2024. This itself means it is a bargaining tactic from both the stronghold sides. What will be the real seat share which each parties would be contesting.
Okay, fine. So it looks like a film with part 1 and part 2. The verdict, from the verdict here on, it seems part 2 of the film is going to begin. But interesting times ahead in Maharashtra, and also the impact it's going to have on the general national politics as well. I am really running short of time. One appeal to the viewers who are watching this live discussion: subscribe to our channel, send us your feedback, and stay tuned to the Federal. Thank you so much, Puneet, Sanjay Jog, Vivek Deshpande, Vipin. Thank you, and wonderful having all.